Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode for the Coaching Conversations podcast. Now, we are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, and multiple different channels. Please check us out. Now, one of the things that you'll get out of our podcast episodes is a lot of content, a lot of strategy. It's not fluff, it's not concept, yet we really want you to engage with the content and let us know your feedback. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If there's topics you'd love to have us address, we would love to share them with you. Let us know your impact and let us know your feedback. Sales is tough, so get tough. You know, years and years ago, I started out as a sales trainer, and I really do think there's some great firms out there. There's some great programs out there. And I've said this in the primary part of my business, teaching leaders how to coach. You know, training's not the problem. It's the application of the training. And I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to apologize for kind of my mentality because it just gets frustrating. And if there is one industry that I think is really tough, that has a lot of situations outside of people's control, that is selling. You know, budgets get cut. They went with someone at the last minute. Relationships change. It's an ever flow of change and curveballs and having to navigate and adapt to situations. And sales is not for the faint of heart. Now, with that being said, one of the primary things that I've said for years, and I will battle anybody on this, is we need salespeople with ego, but the ego gets in the way of the learning process. Let me give you an example. You know, in the last 10 conversations I've had with sales leaders, I've done this kind of as a pseudo study. I mean, it's not scientific, but I said, so how often do you practice? Well, what we try to do. And I'm like, oh my God, you're not practicing. Just don't give me your damn narrative. You're not practicing. You're not doing what you should be doing. And you're hiring good people. And I've got good staff. And we're really inconsistent. And as leaders, we even pull back. We don't want to make our people role play. People do not arbitrarily get better. God, when are we going to quit letting this thing called ego, which stands for eroding growth opportunity, get in the way of our sales team's performance? Why do I say that? When I look at sales today, and I look at all the AI tools coming out, oh, boy, people better be ready because salespeople are going to fight it. Some are going to embrace it, but we're going to have a huge part of the industry fight it because I don't want to be replaced. And we tend to have one fallacy in sales. We tend to tell ourselves a story. You know, I am a fanatic when it comes to self-awareness, and we all have blind spots, present company included. Salespeople have some of the biggest blind spots. You know how I know that? When sales are at 100% or more, ask somebody, why'd you hit your goal? They will talk all about themselves. When they don't hit their goal, they'll say things like, well, you know, the marketing department didn't give us very good leads. Well, the economy was kind of down this year. Now, let me flip that. Wouldn't it be hilarious if a rep said, yeah, I had 110% of goal. It had nothing to do with me. The marketing department gave me great leads. Anybody could have closed those people. And the economy was up, so I was actually selling terribly and still had success. I know I'm coming off obnoxious, but I hope I have your attention. God, I'm so sick of the sales bullshit. And what we have to do is be honest with ourselves. And I'm going to give you a couple suggestions. Number one, if you're a sales leader, don't get evaluated. Don't evaluate yourself. Did the team hit the goal? Evaluate yourself by the number of people who hit goal and the number of people that have increased hitting goal the following years or the following programs. Here's why. It'll elevate your attentiveness to development and training and talent. See, when somebody cannot role play a situation on the spot, they're not ready. I don't give a crap what anybody says. And again, this is not a podcast where I'm worried about professionalism. I feel that strongly about it because when I ask salespeople, how often do you practice? Well, you know, I've been doing this for 16 years. Okay, here comes the bullshit. It's a load of crap, people. If you're not practicing, you cannot improve anything. So here's the worst part. And I'll never forget this. And I won't mention the name of the company, but a friend of mine, Gary, Vice president of sales, longtime buddy, was hitting his numbers. Let me say this. He was blowing the numbers out of the water. The pandemic hit. So he's sitting there going, yeah, I've got a really good team, Tim. He's going on, and he's a great guy, very objective, very highly self-aware. And all of a sudden he goes, it's interesting. When the pandemic hit, he said, I started to tap into some of the calls, meaning observing them or having them record, and I would observe. He calls me up. He goes, I don't even think we know what we're selling. And they were hitting their numbers. Numbers can be a fallacy, everybody. We have to watch our people sell or practice with them to know what they're really representing the company and how they're representing the company. And do they know the products? And can they fluently, confidently, without hesitation or inhibition, handle objections and negotiate calmly with both parties' benefits in mind? If they can't do that, that's not my point of criticism. It is the opportunity for sales teams to raise their game. Now, I'm going to share this with you. One of the things that I love to do is I love to build products. Love it. Could do it all day long. And I realized our company was going through a pivot. So I ended up taking a course by Ryan Serhant called Sell It. And it's good. It's really good. And when I listened to him, I'm like, okay, technique, strategy-wise, this is pretty fundamental stuff. And I don't know if he would like to hear that, but I love his stuff. But what he talks about more than anything, and I don't even know if he realizes it, is the strong mindset we need. We need grit, guts, resilience, intensity. When you're at 92%, God damn it, you're at 92%. Nobody else, not the team, not your sales assistant, you as a sales professional are at 92%. So shut up and say, I'm at 92%. Don't create a narrative. Don't create a story. Don't create a set of reasons why you're not at fault. You're at 92%. Yes, and oh, by the way, before people as sales professionals hear this and go, God, what an asshole, I'm also in sales. And so when I get in front of a group, and I'm going to share this with you, and I want you, if you're a sales professional or a sales leader, to sit on the sideline, pretend you're not in our career. I had a guy once in wealth management. I tell this story all the time. Vice president of sales, the CEO asked me to sit in. It was at a financial services firm. And he made some assumptions. We sit down and we're talking, and I forget how we got to the point from point A to point B, but he said something, well, Tim, tell me a little bit about your company. And then he says, well, what experience do you have in wealth management? And I said, well, none. He started to laugh at me. He laughed at me. In front of a CEO, he laughed at me. He goes, okay, well, we can go through the sales presentation. I wasn't there for a sales presentation. I looked at him, I go, well, this isn't a sales presentation. I pointed to the CEO. I go, he asked me to sit in. I don't know what you're expecting, but I wasn't planning on selling you anything. But now that you've brought me into it, I'll engage. And I went to confident mode. Oh, did I go to cocky mode? I was angry. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to apologize again. You want to treat me like shit and you want to be an asshole? Get ready. Because I can go to it too. I can get there. And I looked at him and I said, well, since you brought me into the equation, let me ask you, how long have you been in the industry? He goes, 21 years. I go, are your sales up or down? He said, well, that's kind of hard. I said, it's actually not a hard question to answer. It's either yes or no. By the way, I know the answer. That's why I think he asked me to sit in. You're down 17 points. All of a sudden, his confidence started to leave his face. Now, by the way, everybody, I take no pride in doing this to another human being. But I had to shake him to realize, you sound ridiculous. And I said, well, what's your number one inhibitor? He goes, we have the highest fees in the industry. I said, fantastic. What do you want your people to do in the moment someone says, wow, your fees are really high? He said, well, that's why I think we need a training program. Maybe that's why you were asked to come in here. I said, no, I'm asking you right now. What do you have your people saying? He said, well, we don't have like a standard answer. That's kind of hard to answer. I said, so you basically then have a team of people, financial advisors, when they get your fees are very high, they're all shooting from the hip. He said, that's not what I said. I said, my mistake. So what are they saying? The CEO jumps in and goes, yeah, I'd like to know, do we Do we have this well thought out? Because this is our number one inhibitor to people, joining our firm. He couldn't answer to everybody. I said, where there's not any knowledge, you can't have skills, because I already know the answer to my next question. How often are you practicing? And I know the answer can't be much, because how do you practice something you don't know how to do? The guy goes, no, we're pretty busy. We don't practice a lot. I said, so you're busy repeating what, according to you, you're down 17 points and you're not hitting your numbers and you're treating me like crap in the meeting, which I was here just to help. And I'm enjoying this, by the way. What's the confidence of your people when they get that objection? He goes, not much. And I said, what are you willing to do to reverse that 17 percentage point number? He said, I guess I would be open to anything. I said, fantastic. You need to schedule 3 practice sessions every single week with all your people. Get them off the phone for 15 minutes, 45 minutes a week. I guarantee if I sat in your office, you're wasting 45 minutes a week anyways. And then what we have to do is come up with a craft. And he goes, what do you mean? We have to craft a response to that. I said, let me demonstrate for you. This is something called pushing the objection. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I hear it all the time. Our fees are the highest in the industry. Let's push that aside. What are the top 2 or 3 things that go into your decision-making when you're working with a wealth management firm? And when they mention those, then the next question is, have we met those expectations? If the answer is yes, you say, that's why we have the highest fees. What do you think we should do? If they say, well, no, I don't know if you've met those expectations, then the objection is truly not your management fees. It might be a value concern. Then you have to revisit value. Then the management fees come in and say, what would you suggest we do to move forward together? If somebody says, would you lower your fees by 10 points? I joined you today. Now you got a cool decision you get to make. The CEO turns to me and goes, wow, that was really good. He said, you're a really good salesperson. I said, no, I don't know if I'm a great salesperson. I'm probably pretty good because it's my stuff. But I said, I'm just well practiced. So sales is tough. And I think this year, at the age of 61, I got one of the nicest notes from Jim Beatty, the vice president of sales at the Milwaukee Brewers. He said, best year we've had with you in 17, 18 years. And I brought it. And I looked at these young people, some young, some not so young. And I said, sales is tough. Get tough. If you have objections, you can't overcome them, practice them. If you're going to whine, get in the car, drive, go home. I don't care. Bring it. If you don't bring it, you're just going to sit there. And it's tough. Sales is tough. Tools are coming out that are going to affect our business, the way we sell. Everything we do is going to change here in the next 3-4 years. And what we have to start with is, number 1, you have to be honest. Number 2, as a leader, you have to get your people to be honest with themselves. Number 3, look at your sales process and identify the tiers of learning: knowledge, skill, and behavior. How do you want them to handle a gatekeeper? Knowledge, skill, have them practice it. Behavioral, confidence comes from practice and repetition. Needs-based selling, objection handling, negotiation skills. Dissect every single part of your sales process and craft a coaching application that includes practice. You will dramatically increase the numbers that have been stagnant for 40 years. 48 to 52%, according to the Sales Management Association, hit their quotas. That means really 1 out of every 2 people hit it or don't hit it. The goal should be about 70 to 80%, and leaders should be held accountable for that. Sales is tough. Get tough. I hope this has helped. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagan and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn, and more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.